All right, we're looking at some notes here and going to do a story problem. Talking about a glass blower. It says a glass blower can form 8 simple vases or 2 elaborate vases in an hour. Okay, so that's what they could do in an hour. In a work shift of no more than 8 hours. Okay, so they can work, but they can't work more than 8 hours. They're not giving them any overtime, apparently. But the task is that they must form at least 40 vases in that 8-hour or less work shift. Okay, we're going to call X the hours forming simple vases and Y the hours forming elaborate vases. Basically what we're going to come up with in this problem is how should the person spend his work day? Okay? Should he spend the whole day making simple vases? Should he spend the whole day making elaborate vases? We're going to find out how to make the most money possible. All right? So the first thing we need to do is it says write a system of inequalities involving the time spent on each type of vase. So again, X is the hours forming simple, Y is the hours forming elaborate. Using this information up here, see what inequalities you can write given that information. Okay, so I'm going to give you some time to think about this. Okay, 8 simple or 2 elaborate in an hour. Work shift of no more than 8 hours. They must form at least 40 vases. See if you can come up with an inequality or more on this information. Yeah, it says at least 40 vases. Yep. So coming up with equations, but they're not equations, they're inequalities because they're going to have not equal signs but other symbols in them. Whatever you're writing, X stands for the hours spent forming simple, Y stands for the hours spent forming elaborate vases. So, has Jasmine come up with any inequalities yet?
X is less than or equal to 8.
Okay. So what you're saying is that the hours spent forming simple vases, because that's what X, must be 8 or less. Okay? So I am going to agree with that. You said less than or equal to 8?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to write that over there. That is a true statement, but is not one of the inequalities I was thinking of. So it's not incorrect. Okay? But so it's true. I'm going to give you a point for that. But I'm just writing it to the left because we can come up with some that have a little bit more to them. Okay? But there's nothing wrong with writing that. That's going to be correct here. All right, and congratulations, you have completed participation requirements. We'll give you your prize in a bit. I'm going to call someone else now. Does Anna any inequalities written yet? All right.
I mean 8 less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 40.
8 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 40, was what was mentioned. So let me think about this. I'm going to write it up here. 8 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 40. What you're saying is the hours spent forming simple vases must be at least 8, but less than 40.
Yeah.
Because x is standing for hours. It's not standing for the number of vases. It's standing for the hours spent forming. So that wouldn't be correct, right? Because they can't spend more than 8 hours. There's only an 8-hour workday. Okay? So that's why this one's tricky. The x is not the number of simple vases. It's the hours spent making simple vases. Okay, so let's try it again. $8y is less than 40. So that means 8 times the number of hours spent forming elaborate vases must be less than 40. But y stands for the hours. Okay? So let's keep thinking about this. I'm going to call somebody else. How about 2?
Pass somebody without.
Yeah. You have one? All right. This is a little bit hard the first time we're doing a problem like this. That's all right. Oh, right. Got one yet? Jaime? All right. Got one yet, Jasmine? Okay. How about David? Still no? Okay, stop me if you see your number and would like to answer it. Oh, got one? We're answering anything. Go ahead. X is less than or equal to y. The hours spent forming simple vases must be less than or equal to the hours spent forming elaborate vases. Is it possible that you could spend more time working on elaborate vases than simple vases?
Yes.
So, but is it also possible that you could spend more time on simple than elaborate? You could choose either one. So x is less than or equal to y would not make sense here. Okay, let's keep trying here. Who's 26? Anyway. You got one? All right.
I got.
Oh, all right.
Okay. 0 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 8.
That's pretty much what Ainsley said, except that you're also saying that you can't spend negative hours working on simple vases, right? You must spend at least 0 hours. So that is correct. I'm going to give you the point for that. Yeah. To be honest, one of the inequalities I was thinking of was this. X must be greater than or equal to 0. That was one of the ones I was thinking of. You threw that one in there right here. But you also said that x must be less than or equal to 8, which is true also. Okay? So they must spend at least 0 hours forming simple vases. That is a true statement. Okay. Does that help anybody? We'll find out. Let's try another one. There's 4 inequalities I was thinking of that can be written here. All right. Who's 21? Oh. Got any yet? Okay. 30? Is that exactly what you mean? Y is less than or equal to 0? That's another one I was thinking of. They must spend at least 0 hours forming elaborate vases. Doesn't that make sense? It can't spend negative hours on any of these, so even though those seem obvious, they're important here because that means that our graph, because we're going to end up graphing these on this graph paper here, it can't go into the negatives. Okay? So that's all that means. All right, very good. Now we need, the other two, by the way, have both x and y in them. Okay? The other two should have both x and y. All right? So here we go. Got one? Okay. Got one yet? Yes, exactly. 8x plus 2y is greater than or equal to 40. Very good. 8 hours for each of these plus 2, I'm sorry, not 8 hours. 8 simple vases in each of these hours, right? Because it said they could spend 8 simple vases in an hour. So 8 for each of these hours, but only 2 for each of these hours. They could only make 2 in elaborate vases an hour. And whatever they choose to spend their day doing, they must form at least 40 vases, so it's greater than or equal to 40. Good. That's one of them. The other one that I'm thinking of has nothing to do with the number of vases that they're making. Okay? Nothing to do with the number of vases. All right, so got one yet? Yes. Because they could spend so many hours doing simple and so many hours doing elaborate, but whatever the hours add up to, it can't be more than an 8-hour workday. Actually, oh yeah, it says no more than 8 hours. So it could be exactly 8 hours, right? So that would be less than or equal to here. This one said at least 40, so it could be greater than or equal to, so those all make sense. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take these 4 inequalities and graph them on this graph paper. These ones are the easy ones. What's x is greater than or equal to 0's graph look like? A straight line that's vertical, like this, right? So that would be a vertical line shaded to the right. I'm not going to do the shading yet. I'm going to wait till I've graphed all the lines. Okay? And then, of course, y is greater than or equal to 0 would be a horizontal line right there. Okay? All these are doing is just making sure we're only in this quadrant 1 and that doesn't go into the negatives. All right? Now, 8x plus 2y is greater than or equal to 40. We could rearrange this and put it into y equals mx plus b form, but I'm going to tell you that it's nice and easy to graph this by using, remember the x and y intercept method? If I want to know what the x-intercept is of this, I could just forget about the y because the y would be 0. What's 8x equals 40? 5. That means it's got an x-intercept of 5. Okay, so I'm going to put an x-intercept down there at 5. And if 2y is equal to 40, what's the y-intercept? 20. All right, so I'm going to put a y-intercept up here at 20. I can now connect those points, but I want to connect these very carefully. If I were to rearrange this, what would the slope be? Negative, right? So you subtract the 8 over and then divide by 2. So knowing that the slope is negative 4 is going to help me graph this accurately. Let's go down 4 over 1, down 4 over 1, down 4 over 1, down 4 over 1, and then you can see they're going to meet right there. Okay, the more points that I have, the easier it is to draw an accurate line. All right. Now this one said greater than or equal to, so which way would the shading be if I did the shading yet? You know which way it would be? Greater than is above, which is really this way, right? It'd be over here. Okay, but I'm going to wait until I do this one. X plus y is less than or equal to 8. That one just has an x and y intercept both